What's the biggest mistake beginners make when starting an urban farm, and how can they avoid it?
I would say the biggest mistake that people make is having unrealistic or unclear goals. Urban farming is very multifaceted. It's a lot of ways you can approach it. Be able to have clear goals based on the amount of time and energy you have to put into your project.
What's one unconventional farming method you swear by that most people wouldn't think of?
I really enjoy no to low till growing. So a lot of people think that this is maybe not productive, maybe it's not a great way of crop management, soil management, but it is incredibly beneficial. We've seen so many benefits as we've been using low and no-till methods, and we've seen increased crop production, and also just the structure of our soil has been increasing faster since we're not breaking it down and tilling it constantly. Another fun one too, using silage tarps. Say if you have a squash crop, you take all those plants out, lay them down right on top of the beds, cover it with silage tarp, let that decompose and break down right in the bed. This is a great way to increase the microorganisms and feed the biology in your soil to make sure you're having amazing living soil. And it really has helped us again with our soil structure.
What's your secret to growing vegetables that thrive in urban environments with limited sunlight?
Focus on your soil health. The best thing you can do to grow a great crop is to have healthy living soil. And what that means is that you are focusing on the biological life in your soil and feeding that. How do you do that? You're going to need to use a lot of compost, and you're going to need to stay away from chemical pesticides and fertilizers that will kill your microorganism. You want to use things like organic matter, broken down grass clippings, leaf mold, composted, and then putting that back into your soil. And if you're dealing with shade, you really need to focus on making sure that you're growing the right varieties. If you have a really shady environment, you're not going to be able to grow peppers that great, but you could grow some really good arugula, right?
What's one tool or piece of equipment that's completely changed your urban farming game?
One tool that really stepped our game up was the BCS Walk Behind Tractor. This is a great piece of equipment, and it's great when you're especially on a budget in a smaller area. BCS is really affordable, first of all, and it's also compact, so it's easy to get around a hilly area or a tight space. We bought the BCS tractor, and tiller and the brush hog implement really was game changer for us. Being in an urban environment, there was a lot of overgrown weed trees, shrubs, bushes, things like that. Brush hog was really great to eliminate those. And then the tiller is amazing because if you're going from like a grassy area to a more lush field, some of the tilling in the beginning is going to be great. As you progress your fields, you would like to do more no-till practices, low till, no-till. But in the beginning, it's a great tool.
What are your top 3 plants to grow for beginners, and why are they ideal for urban spaces?
My top 3 plants to grow, I would say, are bunchy greens, so your collard greens, kale, tomatoes, and then squash and zucchini. These crops produce a large harvest on a small amount of space, and they're also crops that are harvestable over and over again. Like bunchy greens, for example, you can harvest them over and over again. They continue to grow. Tomato plants are going to continue to grow, and you can harvest them as they get taller. And then squash and zucchini, they produce a ton of fruit in the summertime, and they don't take up too much space. So these are great crops to focus on when you're getting started. And if you want to learn more about growing these crops, check out our other videos on our channel.
If you had to start from scratch today, what's the first thing you would do to set up a successful urban farm?
I would definitely start by building a relationship with my community, whether that's your community members, your neighbors, local businesses, or even your city, local government. Get some support behind you in building your urban farm. And then also, you can figure out how you're going to market your products by talking to your community, right? So if you want to work with schools, you'll be wanting to network with some schools. When you're urban farming, you're going to need to explain to them why they should buy your product. So building that relationship up front is very, very valuable.
How do you keep pests away in a city environment without using harmful chemicals?
Our top way that we keep pests off of our crops is we use a product called row cover. So this is a floating row cover that you can put right over your crops. You can use small hoops to keep it elevated, or if it's a smaller, like a salad crop, you can just lay the row cover right on top of it. This is a great physical barrier for your crops. Rain can still go through it, and the plants can actually grow up into it a little bit. So it's not keeping them small and it's not preventing them from rain, but it is preventing insects from coming through and laying eggs and eating your crop.